Hi, this is Jay for SimplyMaya, and welcome to our new concept tutorial. Now, the idea of this tutorial is to basically show you a way to colour up your models for ideas as they would do in the film industry or games industry and so on. So what they would do is model something up very quickly without any care about the topology or UVs, etc., and get some shapes together and then light it up and then bring it over into Photoshop or whatever chosen paint software that they're using, and then they just basically do overpaints or add textures and overpaint and so on like that. So that's the idea of this tutorial. We're not going to show you how to model this because I really don't think it's actually worth it. It's just very basic shapes, just with a few bevels and stuff like that. And then all we've done is just add a little bit of lighting using the mental ray environment lights and stuff. And yeah, we just created a render, create some passes, and put those into Photoshop. So what I will show you as well is I've used 3 different Lambert shaders and coloured the wheels, the head, and the body. And I've also saved this out as a separate image. So let's go into Photoshop now. So as you can see, here's our robot all rendered out, all put together in Photoshop. And what we've done is add these what they called ID passes to the actual image as well, on separate layers. And what this is going to enable us to do is to isolate areas, so we can do painting or add in textures and clip textures to the areas of the model itself. So we're going to crack on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to darken this robot just a little bit. I still want to keep this highlight and stuff going on, so I'm just going to darken it a little bit more and just adjust the contrast, not too much. I don't want to crush all those blacks and lose any detail under those areas too much. Okay, and there we go. So as I was saying, this is a very fast way of putting an image together that you might want to get under an art director's nose, or you might want to get it under the director's nose as well of a movie, so you can approve it and say, hey, let's build this for my film, and off you go. So this is a way of doing that. This is a way of getting that concept art and that idea across very quickly. And knowing a few concept artists that I do, they do have a very fast turnaround within a day. And although we're not going to be doing an image of the sort of the high detail that they do, it's quite remarkable with what they achieve, within sort of 9 hours. I mean, you're getting a fully rendered, rendered as in painted image very quickly in a normal sort of day. And depending on the nature of it, it might take a day or two, but chances are it's going to be done very quickly throughout the day. And that's going to be off to underneath a director's nose, so he can approve it for the next phase of the film or game or whatever. So these guys really do turn stuff around very fast. And like I say, it's just shapes all put together, and then they're just painting over it or putting textures over the top of it and so on, because we don't have to worry about UVs. It's just one angle. And then you might want to do a few different ideas of different colors, so you can just duplicate this particular image and just do it again, and you might have 5 or 6 within a day before you know it. So it's just a really very fast way of working. So we're going to try and get through this tutorial in around 2 or 3 chapters. If we get it done any quicker, then that's great, but hopefully you will pick something up as to what we're showing you. So first of all, what I want to do is create a new layer, and I'm going to call it line work. Now the idea here is we're going to create the sort of the lines, or the the areas where panels are joined together. So what I'm going to do is just make sure I've got a black color, and we're going to switch to the lines, and we're going to make sure that 2 pixels should be fine for this particular piece. And I'm just going to jump over to the magnifying glass and just zoom in just a little bit more. And I'm going to grab that line tool and just going to start to draw some panel lines. Okay, and we'll go around the entire model like this. And the cool thing is, this is the great thing about doing this as a concept piece, because had you done this in as a proper model in Maya and stuff, it might take you it might take you a couple of days, so a few days to build, or even more, depending on the nature of these lines, for example, that we're putting in now. Those things take time to do because you've got to make sure that the topology is correct, and so on. So doing it this way, a visualization can be created, and then if all that's good to go, then someone in a modeling department will then sit there and try and get it to look exactly like the concept. And with that said, even when the models get built, sometimes there's a change, in between while the modeler's been doing his thing. So it's just one of those ever-changing things in the industry. It's a bit of a vicious circle, really. There are lots of changes because CG is CG. It's not like the old days with proper model making, where the model would have to be approved there and then, or there'd be more sort of viewings of it, and so it would look right. Okay, so I'm in a bit of trouble with that one. Let's just undo that. And this is doing this again. Let's just make sure this tool is okay. I'm in a bit of trouble with this before. Okay, let's see if we can do this. And another one. And another one there. Okay, so just a little bit of a glitch there on that. Sometimes Photoshop does tend to play up. So as you can see there, those lines aren't exactly spot on. So what you can do, you can just adjust those and get those to fit just a little bit better. And I'm just going to put that there and do that. Okay, so that should suffice that for now. So that's looking pretty good. And what we'll do, we're just going to head on over to the front as well, and hopefully our line tool will behave itself. So I'm just going to bring that across there. Sort of try and judge the angle of everything, and then we'll just bring that across there, get our eraser, and that's all good. Okay, so let's save that. Okay, and then grab our line tool again. So this is one of those things you can just go around and add detail very, very quickly. Like I said, someone might have to cut this in the modeler's geometry itself, which can be a little bit time consuming, or with the advent of the hard surface stuff in ZBrush, you might be able to just do it on the actual mesh as a sculpt, and yeah, just export that as a displacement map. So there's those sort of things that happen as well. And what I might do is just add one long line just down here, and to there, and into there. So that's all good. And then we'll come down here, actually let's undo that, just come into here a bit more, just bring that there, that's better, and there, and that's that. Okay, there we go. Oops. And we'll just bring that down there. That's all good. Okay, so with that done, we're just going to add a few onto the head here, and again it's still on the line layer, so it's no big deal. Now just going to bring a few just down to here, like so. and there, and there. Okay, and what I might do is add, you know, I'm not being super, you know, accurate with everything because it is just essentially a concept, and you know, these things can, you know, you need to get these things done as quick as possible. So let's just save that. So that's not looking too bad at all. What we can do is if we just nip on to the actual wheels now, okay, and just grab our line tool, and we'll do some interesting sort of panel shapes, I think, for this. Just to sort of break it up, and then we'll just bring that one down there like so. I think we'll do a similar one over here. And then there. So that's pretty good. And then we'll do one about here. And that's all done. And then between those we'll add just a line, so it just looks like it's all been sort of put together properly. And we'll do one on the inside there, and we'll put one across here. So that's all good. And we'll just go over to this side and we'll add the opposite of what we've just done. So I'm just going to do this like so. That's okay. I'm not too concerned about this sort of thing. I think it just adds to it anyway, and like I keep saying, it is just concepts. And then we will just add a few lines like so. And I think because we're on the back here, we'll just add a little bit of difference as well to the lower part, and that's all good. So what we can do is just to, because we've gone over the edge a little bit, what you can do is if you do Control select the layer, we'll do Control Shift I and then hit delete. Whoops, and it should get rid of, actually let's do Control D on that, that's my bad. You should be able to actually just erase some of those areas. It's a bit overzealous there with the deleting. There we go. That should be okay. And there we go. So it's kind of got it's kind of a retro feel to that already. So I'm just going to save that. Now for the dome itself, because we've got this round sort of area, there's one tool that I do like to use, and that's the Bezier curve. Now if we go to edit and stroke, and we'll keep that on 2 pixels, okay, because that will then match the line width as well. Because what we're going to do, we're going to create a Bezier curve and then stroke that curve, because we've got this sort of round shape. Some artists will just prefer to just do it freehand, but I like to use the curves because I think they're, you know, although we're not supposed to be doing anything overly accurate, I think, you know, it's worth using the tools at your disposal. So we're just going to make a point there and a point there, and the thing with these, less is always more as well. Okay, so I want to pull the handle around, so I'm just holding the Control key down. As you can see there, it just changes the tool to go into like an edit mode, if you will. And then all I'm going to do is go up to the options, stroke path, and I'm just going to choose the brush. Okay, and that popped away for some reason. Okay, let's just undo that. Okay, and and what we'll do, we need to put that to 2, which is what I forgot to do, and so we'll choose that again and stroke that, and there we go, so that's done. Okay, now to get this to move elsewhere, what you can do, you can select it and basically just move it around like so. Okay, and then what we can do, we can edit that, just pull that across there, one there, put that there, and just pull those handles in like so, and again we'll just stroke that path, and that's done. Come out of there, and there you go. Okay, so that's that part of the line work done. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to merge those 2 line work layers down, and I'm just going to add a little bit more to that as well. So now what I thought with this particular piece as well, although we've got this dome shaped head, you know, we could have gone for a giant eye like R2-D2 has, or the new robot from that new Star Wars movie, but I thought we could be a little bit different and sort of come away from the obvious, and maybe do something like the Cylons from Battlestar Galactica. We could have it like a red eye here, or a blue eye if we want to make it like a, you know, a good guy, if you will. So maybe we should, I think that's what we will do, is have an eye sort of wandering around in here, or 2 eyes, you know, depending on how you see the model being. So that's all good. So with that said, let's just get some more of this line work done, and we'll do that. So I'm just going to do a very rough line there, and one to come down here, and just there as well. So that's not looking too bad at all. So we'll save that, and we can carry on. So with that done, what I'll show you is some textures and stuff that I've sort of dug up to have a look at, and I think these will be ideal for the time being. Oops. And these will be ideal to sort of overlay onto our robot. So what I want to do first is actually put this one on, and what I think we'll do, we'll start with the head layer itself, and I'll just select that. Actually, let's just Control D, and we'll just drag that in, okay, like so, and we'll just start to give it a little bit of placement. And what we're going to do now is use the color overlay, okay, and the overlay is going to use the value of the actual grey that's underneath. So if I do that, you can see it's, you know, it's blending in straight away. But what you can do, you can use hard light. You know, there's all these other options in here, so you have to really sort of figure out what's working best for you on your bit of artwork, what you're actually after. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hide that a moment, go into the droid pass, I'm going to darken it a lot more. Okay, so I'm just going to darken it way down, and just keep that sort of contrast going. In fact, what I can do, I think would be better. Okay, whoops. If we do a copy of that, and we'll just darken it down, take a bit of the contrast back. Not too worried about the highlight right now, we know where that is. Okay, and we'll just bring that brightness back up a bit more. Okay, like so. And for some reason everything is disappearing on this. So now what we can do is do our overlay. Whoops, wrong one. With our texture. So as you can see, it's a little bit darker now, and it's actually registering a lot better. And the other thing we can do is adjust it as well for our needs. So it looks a bit of a mess this very minute, but what we can do is actually select that layer. That's just by doing Control and Shift, and then I'll do Control Shift I, and then just delete the outside of it. And as you can see, that's fit on really well. You may choose to want to go for a sort of a different color or whatever, but for now I think that suffices. And what we can do now is just grab the actual texture again, and what we can do is start to play around with this. So at the moment, what we want to do, I'm going to just repeat this texture on itself. So I'm just going to duplicate it again. Okay, just move that across. Okay, and then just move that down. So that now covers the entire width of the droid. Now I'm just going to lower it down one more and just clip it to it. That's just by holding down the Alt key between two layers. Okay, and then I'm going to just adjust that like so. Okay, and that's not too bad. Now what I'm going to do is just start to tinker with the angle, and it's not too bad already. And I think what we can do is just push that just a little bit more over there, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to Control click on that layer and Control Shift I, and then just delete the remainder of that. So as you can see, we've now got this different texture with different angles and stuff, and it fits quite well. Okay, so you can start to play around with how you want that to be. So now I don't have to clip that. I can now just undo that and just move that layer back up. So we can call this head texture A. In fact, we'll call it head color underscore A, and we'll call this body underscore color A. Okay, like so. So that's all good. So that's all starting to take shape now. Okay, now last one we want to do for the moment, not this one, is, I think it's this one. Yes, this one. Now I found this texture because of this sort of swirling metal effect going on, and I thought that'd be ideal to use on the wheels themselves. So we're going to drag that in. Okay, and just going to scale that down like so. Okay, and then what we'll do is start to, in fact, let's hit escape, and let's just drop the opacity just a little bit, just so we get an idea of the angle of the wheel. Now, to my annoyance still, for some reason my palettes keep disappearing. I have a feeling it's because it is Windows 10 having a bit of a Barney, but as long as it keeps me working, that's fine. So you have to just persevere with me while it does all this. It's been a bit strange during this tutorial. Okay, so what we can do now is I'm going to duplicate that layer. Oops. I'm going to duplicate this layer. Okay, and I'm going to move it across to the other side, and then rotate it, just so we can see that sort of nice sort of those grooves, the circular grooves that it's got going on there. So I'm just going to move that there and just position this. Okay, So as I was saying before, you can see how this would be a lot quicker, because if you were a concept artist, you know, and to be faffing around doing UVs and everything in Maya, and then going ahead and creating your textures and stuff separately, it takes a long time. So by doing it this way, it's a lot quicker. Okay, so that's all good, and then what I'm going to do is just hide that one, and then we're going to select that wheel and just going to move that across actually a little bit. So Control D, just going to move this, let's put this onto overlay and just move that ever so slightly just around there. Okay, like so. So we've got this nice sort of pattern going on there. There we go. I think that should suffice there. I'll leave that one there. Okay, that's all good. So again, just going to select that, Control Shift I to invert that selection and delete the rest. And then that works really well in terms of that pattern being on the outside. And then because this helps us out as well, because we may want to add a little bit more to this piece here, and I'm just going to try something with the line work. So as you can see, you know, just by dropping it back there in its opacity, you know, it's already become a bit more subtle, and it gives us a good effect. So anyway, with that said, let's do the other wheel, and again I'm just going to adjust the overlay on that. Whoops, that's the line work, don't want to do that. Okay, and let's do that one there, and just do overlay. And I think that will be good, and then we will grab that and then do Control Shift I and delete that there. Okay, and that's all good to go. And I think, what is that? Is that still part of, yeah, that's part of that one. So what we'll do, you can see this dark square, that's where the mask has had no effect. So we'll just erase that, and that's all done from there. Okay, so that's all good. So what we're going to do is close that texture off, so that's all fine, and we can close this one off now, we don't need that one, and all we've got now is this one spare as well, so that's great. Okay, so what we'll do, that's half hour, so we'll come back in another chapter and we'll get on with sort of more colour work and sort of adding a bit of texture to the background and stuff as well, and go from there. So hopefully we won't have as many glitches as well with our Photoshop. We'll have a look into that as well, and hopefully we should be okay. So I shall see you in the next chapter. Hi, welcome back. In the last chapter we covered putting the image together and just sort of colorizing the background and adding this sort of dirty texture to the actual robot itself, and also this kind of scratched one we've got with the wheels as well. Now what we're going to do is start to just sort of add sort of different values to this, a little bit of colour here and there, and go from there, and then we'll try and get the background painted in as well with a few textures that I've brought in for this particular episode. So what we're going to do, I think I'm going to start off with the body itself, and I'm going to use the brightness and contrast from the menu up here. Now you could use the adjustment layers if you want. You can put all these into little sets and stuff and then drop those adjustments into those sets as well, but just for this particular tutorial I'm not going to be doing that, so I'm just going to keep it very simple from the menu setup here. So as you can see, if I just do that with the contrast, you can see it really burns that out. So I'm just trying to find something, you know, not too bad. I mean, I could adjust the opacity on the from the layers palette as well, just to drop that back, but for the moment all I'm going to do is just adjust it from here, so that's not too bad. And if I go to the head as well, I'll do a separate correction for that. Let's just adjust the contrast a little bit there. That's not too bad as well. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, now the wheels themselves, what I'd like to do is just give them a bit of colour to sort of match this background. So all I'm going to do is do Control click in the ID layer, and we're going to do each wheel. Actually, let's just do those separately, I think. Yeah, so if we do that and then adjust the actual we'll do that on the droid, the whole thing there. So we'll just adjust the color balance on the actual grayscale, the actual non-textured version that's lying underneath our original render. So I'm just going to add some color into here. Let's just cancel that, and we'll go again. And if we go to highlights, so I'm just going to use the red as subtle as possible, and the yellow as well. I don't want to affect it too much, because otherwise we'll end up with something that's going to blend too much into the background. So I think we'll leave that sort of like that, I think, just for now, and I think that works quite well. So let's have a zoom in, just have a look. So it's not too bad. Okay, so that's all working quite well. So what we can do now is I'm going to start to mask out areas of this texture, just to sort of break it up a little bit, and sort of maybe take us back through to our actual sort of bodywork underneath. So I'm going to start with the body colour. I'm going to add a layer mask to that, and I'm just going to make sure that's on the black, and I'm going to hit the brush, and just going to have a scroll down through my brushes and see what I've got. So all sorts of different mixture of brushes in here, for all different purposes, sort of like skin textures and stuff like that. So what I want to do is look for one that's going to help us sort of break up the area. So I'm going to try that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in and see what we get. Okay, let's undo that. Okay, gone one step too far, so let's bring that right down. For our brush, let's go back again, and what we're on 100% opacity there, so it's just a little bit too big. So I'm just going to go around, just take that back just a little bit. And what we'll do a bit of wear and tear where the wheels have been, especially. And just around here as well. So that's worn away almost completely. And we'll do the same with this side. And we'll just add a little bit of sort of wear and tear on the front, and just around here as well, as if the head rotates. So I'll just get rid of that kind of pattern just around there. And what I will do as well is just darken, just give us a slight shadow where the contact is between those two surfaces. We'll do that in a minute. Just going to try and break this up just a little bit more. Okay. And if I hit X just to change that colour back over, just to restore some of that. And again, take some out. There we go. Now we'll just take a little bit out, just along the bottom here. And let's change the brush as well. Get something a bit harsh more harsh. Where are we? So that one's always pretty good. Yeah, that's the one. So I'm going to drop the opacity on that right down to about 25, I think. Let's see how we go. So we can start to use this like a chip paint type effect, which is pretty good. So just going to drop that sort of look just along the front here. And again, you know, like I was emphasizing in the other chapter, you know, the concept artist guys, they do this stuff, you know, really, really quick. So it's for them, it's like a normal day kind of thing. I mean, I don't do this every day, but we are doing this tutorial to show you the ins and outs of our beloved industry. So let's just do that as well. And just going to get rid of, actually I'm on the wrong layer there for that, so that can wait. And just get rid of some of that around there as well. So if we just zoom out, so that's starting to look a little bit better already. And what else we'll do as well is we can now go to the head and we can now start to take a few of those bits and pieces out as well. So I'm just going to do along the edge here, ever so slightly, just on the texture. Okay, and what I will do is remove it completely from in there because we want that to be more of a glass sort of area where we're going to put the eye of our robot. Okay, so that's better already. Okay, so just going to get rid of some of the texture around these areas, and we'll be doing a little bit of adjustment and stuff to the line work because that's purely there to act as like a selection, and then what we can do is go in with that hidden but selected and then just burn and dodge those areas where the panels are. So that should be make for an interesting part of the exercise for this. So I'm just going to get rid of some of this down here as well. Get rid of that. So just trying to get a little bit of wear and tear around these areas. So that's all good. And I'm not worried about, you know, this sort of painterly look that we've got going on. Really not. Let's do 20, just 20% on that. So that's all working quite well there. And we'll just get rid of that. It looks like too almost procedural there on the top. And we'll just zoom out again. So you can see it's all sort of starting to come together. So what we can do now, I think, let's have a look at the yeah, that's all okay. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go back to the droid pass, and I'm going to grab the dodge tool, and I'm going to start to emphasize some of these edges just by dodging those out. So let's just have a look. Let's just do 70% and we'll do the highlights, I think. There we go. So it gives us a kind of a nice metallic kind of sheen across there, maybe a bit harsh, but let's just jot that back down. So you can see there that works already, and it's starting to pick out those edges for us. Well, what the other thing you can do is if we just click on an area there and then hold down the shift key and then click again and then go back, you can achieve that straight line straight away. if you want to do it in that respect as well. So I'm just going to move around, and we're going to do the same process throughout. So not as harsh on here because this is in a bit more of a shadow area, but those parts that are in the light, you know, we can, you know, just adjust and exaggerate just a tiny bit as well, like so. And as it gets there, it can just drop off. Okay, and let's just hold it down the back here. Okay, and we won't do very much here. I'm just going to do a little bit of a so give that a bit of sort of damage in that area as well. See if that's all worn away. Now let's change the brush, and let's use that guy again. So you can see there, just going to give it a few sort of, oops, it's probably a bit harsh there. Let's just drop that down to 40%. There we go. So, and again, just going to give this a little bit of a tickle along here. And up here as well. Okay, so you can see that makes a difference already, so it gives a little bit of damage. Okay, so we jump on to the head area with the same thing in mind, and we'll just go around. Let's do that on here. Okay, like so, and a bit of shadow. Just in there, just to pick that out, just ever so slightly. And just zoom out a little bit, so it's not too bad. Okay, so it's starting to pick up. You can see the shape starting to pop now. So the other thing I do want to do is if we select, actually no, we don't need to select anything, I'll just zoom straight into that area. And I'm just going to burn that in around the base of the lid there, but what I'll try and do is get a selection going, and Control Shift I to invert that, Control H to hide it, and just to give us a little bit of shadow underneath where the head almost meets the body. Just bring that just a bit more, like so, and we'll do the same around here. There we go. So you can see there's a slight sort of gap between the two, so let's just zoom out, have a look. So that's better already. So this is really sort of starting to take shape for what we want. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just jump back in, do Control Shift I to put that selection back the other way, and we're going to hide the selection again, and we're going to jump back up to the dodge tool and just move that along, so that's good. And just going to take the scale of that down and drop the opacity, or the exposure should I say, on that one, and just so we get a bit of a kick on that lip just there, and just around here as well. Keep an eye on the shadows, so get a bit of a sort of a drop off on the highlight itself, so that's not too bad. Okay, there we go. So we get a little bit of a difference there, so that's not too bad at all. Okay, so this is all looking a bit battered and bruised. I think what we'll do now is we just Control D, I think that's to unselect, Yep. Okay, so that's all good. So let's have a look now. Where are we? Let's have a look. So I think what we can do is the wheels. So I'm going to zoom in, do the same thing, and I'm just going to. That's it. So just going to add some slight. It's probably a little bit strong there. Let's go down to 10%. It's a little bit better. So just add that kind of look to it. I'm not going to overdo it on the wheels too much, or try not to anyway, but just to give a little bit of again a bit more kick, just to bring that shape out. Just like this, that's fine. And what we'll do, I'm going to use that selection of these lines very shortly to just go around and just sort of paint some highlights and stuff, just to help it mask those areas. So let's do that now. So we're going to select our line work and hide the layer. Okay, and then we're going to hide the selection. And I'm going to use the burn tool for a moment. And we're going to put that onto highlights. And what this is going to enable us to do is just burn in our lines, hopefully. There we go. So I'm just doing this as a subtle approach to the line work. Okay, so it doesn't, it's a bit more sort of subtle. I mean, we could adjust it using, like I said before, opacity, but I think this way we've got a bit more sort of control over it as well as to how much I want to see. And again, all the detail is actually being done on the grey model underneath. So we'll start to add, I think we're going to put that one in there quite harsh, and then do these down here. Okay, and then just down the bottom here, these are in the dark, so I'm not going to do those too much. And then just on the top. There we go. So it just gives an element of there's something there, because I don't want it to look too sort of, oh yeah, look, there's panels on it. So it's just like almost like secondary, so you're just looking at it and you know they're just there, they're just a matter of course. Okay, so what I'm going to do as well is adjust the colour a little bit. Let's just give these lines a little bit of colour. Just take that back just a little bit. I'm just adding a little bit of red and some yellow, as if there's a sort of, you know, dirt or dust in there as well. So I don't want the shadows to be too black, if you will. Okay, that's pretty good. So Control Shift I. So now we're going to invert that selection, and I'm going to hide that as well. And now what we're going to do is dodge the outer area. So this might be a little bit more tricky, but hopefully not too bad. So I don't want to overdo it as if it's, you know, sticking out sort of thing. And we'll just bring that down. just give it a little bit of a highlight, just as if there's something there. There we go, so that's good in there, that's good. And then just down here as well. There we go. So again, just subtle adjustments to this, and all is good. So I don't really need to do it there, but that's going to give us the impression there's a highlight there, there's lumps and bumps there. So excuse me, again, if you had to model that, it would take you a little while, just to get all your edge loops right, stuff like that. So you can see how these concept guys do this stuff real fast, a lot faster than me as well. So let's just jump back to the burn tool. Just want to add a little bit more to that area there, just on top of the dome, and just bring that in there as well, just to that. That's fine. A bit more there, a bit more down here, and that's all good. So now you can see it's starting to take shape. Missed that one out there. A bit more there. Okay, and there should be one or two in here. That's okay. Good. And just bring that one out a bit more. Okay. Control H. So just going to a little bit jumping backwards and forwards, and just going to give this a little bit more of dodge, because that's on the outside of everything. So just bring that back ever so slightly. Okay, and there as well. And that's all good. So there we go. So that's that area done. I think in terms of those sort of minutiae details, the highlights and stuff like that. What we could do, we could go for broke. Let's just have a quick look and sort of add. That's not very good. I think it was just there where the highlight was, if I'm correct. Just turn off the head and just hide that. So yeah, the highlight was there. It's probably a bit harsh what I've done now, but that's okay, it doesn't matter, I don't think. So that kind of works for what we have there, so that's fine. Okay, so let's just zoom out. Okay, so what we could do now is do another layer, and we can do some colours. So what I'd like to do is just sort of add a few sort of little decals. So I think we'll go for a red, just to offset this. I mean, we could go for an orange, but I think it's just go with the background too much. In fact, let's try. Yeah, let's go for a red. Let's just go for a red there. That's fine. So I'm going to get my paintbrush, and let's see what we can use. So again, we're already on a layer, so I'm just going to save what we've done. Okay, and that's not too bad. What we'll do is just make it a little bit darker, a bit more sensible, I think. So that's not too bad. Okay, so what I'd like to do, just do a few little areas with some markings, and I think a good way to do that is just to zoom in really with the paintbrush. I suppose about 35%. If we just do this as a colour overlay for the moment, so painting it on as an overlay so you can see through it, like that. so it's not too bad. So we still get to see that texture going on underneath. So I'm just going to choose a different brush because that one doubles up a bit too much. So let's see what we can get with with just a standard hard edge. Let's have a look. So that's not too bad there. So I just need to adjust the brush tip. For the shape dynamic, I don't really want it to be going from fat to small, etc. Okay, so let's zoom in, and we can start to just sort of add this paintwork. And again, I'm not too fussed at the moment on the way it's going to be looking. In that respect, it's very harsh actually. Still, let's and get rid of those. Let's just darken this colour up again. Let's have a look. So that's not too bad. Okay, let's drop that down to 20%, and we'll just start to add some little sort of areas of interest. I think these sort of panels will suffice. And again, it's all pretty rough. I'm going to get rid of that one. Don't like that one there. Looks like the eyes. Okay, like so. So we'll just sort of just go in and just add a few like this. That's better. Okay, let's do Control A, get rid of those, and just repaint those in. Okay, so I'm not too concerned about how tidy that is right now, because I can just go in and we'll do another pass of that one over the top just so we get a bit better kind of adjustment on that. So what I'm going to do after is go around and erase those rough edges, and do the same here. Okay, and I think we'll do one just to bring that bit out there. And we'll just rough that up just a little bit there, so it's just a little bit more random. That's better. Okay, and we'll do the completely red dome on the top. And now I'm going to go in and erase that. Just get rid of that. Keeping it all done really quick, or relatively quick. And what we can do with the head, Control Shift I, and delete that. Whoops, wrong one. And we'll just use that as a mask. So that's all done. Okay, Control Shift I again. That one's done there, and then we just need to come in down here, just sort of tidy that bit up just there, and then come around and get rid of that. That's all good. And just invert the selection again. There we go. And Control D. So that's done. It's not too bad. Let's just get rid of that dome. That's too much. Okay. And what we'll do, just come jump in here and tidy these up. And I'm just going to choose a squarer brush just so we can get in there and tidy that up. And that one there. Okay. Not concerned about those edges. It's nice to have a bit of random sort of chips away paint, I think. So if we just do that, and let's do a 60%, and we'll have it worn down just on here, like so. Okay, and then we'll do the same here. Just wear that paint out a little bit more. just sort of paint that out so it's not too perfect. Just a few little sort of chips out there on the front. You know, I'm going through this very fast, but you know, do take your time. Well, take your time to an extent, I guess. The more you do it, the better you'll be at it. Let's just get this one done a bit more as well. Just a few little areas out. So again, you can see it's a very, very fast job to do. You know, if you can imagine the time spent painting and UVing this and modelling as well for this particular thing, especially with all these, like I keep saying, with all these sort of all the line work in there. Right, I'm just going to get rid of this a bit more. There we go, and just get rid of that. And just paint a little bit more in. Actually, let's just do that one again. See, it's that quick to do. Just erase it because it's on a layer, and we'll just do a new paint over, and again. Okay, like so, and we'll erase that. And there we go, that's better. That's much, much better. Okay, so if we zoom out, have a look, so you can now see you know, the effects of that and how that's going to be working. What I might do is just add a little bit of colour to that area there, just to break that sort of vast redness. So let's go again, and just get rid of that stuff. And a bit of a dent into that as well. And there we go. And just bring it over just a little bit more. There we go. So that's all good. Just push that down and that bit up in there. So that's all cool. So that is what we'll leave on this particular piece. So we'll do one more chapter after this, and we'll just sort of start putting in the eyes, and then we'll just cover the ground, and that should be all good to go. So I shall see you in the next chapter. Okay, so welcome to the third chapter of this tutorial. So last chapter we covered all this colour work, line work, sort of added highlights and stuff like that. So I would say the image is beginning to pop a little bit more now. So what I thought we could do is start off by doing this area sort of under here. First of all, I want to actually layer this as the markings layer. And also, I did actually want to add sort of a scratches layer as well to this robot, so we'll do another copy of that one and turn that one off, and just with the dodge tool, and let's just have a scroll down just to see what I've got in there, because there are a few sort of brushes that are useful for sort of highlights, dents, and sort of let's have a look. Let's just increase the exposure. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, so let's check the other brushes. Okay, let's have a look at that one. That's not so good either. Okay, so let's go back up. This one might be useful for little sort of highlights and dents here. I think it is this one. Yeah, so you can just sort of add just little bits and pieces here and there. Let's just have a look at that. Could be that one as well. Yeah, so we're just going to drop that exposure down to 30% and then just go around, just give it a little bit more. Just in a few areas. I'm just going to zoom out a bit more so I can just sort of see a bigger picture as far as that's concerned. Let's just do that along that edge. Again, let's just drop the exposure and just do some on the top of the head there. And just pop those in. So we're just getting this roughness just off the top of the surface of the metal. Hopefully that's not overkill with that. What we can do, of course, is I'm going to mask that back out just on the area underneath and put that on normal. That's better. So all I'm doing is just masking it and just dropping it back a little bit onto the copy below. So that's pretty good, and not too much on the top there. Okay, cool. Okay, so if we go and grab, sometimes this one here, this leaf brush is quite useful as well. You can get some random stuff out of that. You can see there, that's doing that. So you get some funny brightness. Sort of, it's almost kind of, it's quite blobby, but it is a good one to use on occasion. One occasion being now, it's quite useful. Just highlight that at the back. There we go. Let's get some stuff going on there. And that should cover that well enough. Okay, that's good. Okay, so what we want to do now is I'm going to put another layer in, and we're going to call this the eye. Okay, and what I might settle for is a red eye as well. What we can do is if we grab this guy, okay, I'm just going to select the inside of this area, and if I can find my polygonal lasso tool, so I'm just going to do this quite briefly. In fact, let's just come back, and there we go. And just bring that just inside there. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll just deselect that bit. Okay, like so, and then for the selection we'll just feather that slightly. 5 is okay, maybe a bit too much. Select feather, let's just do 2 just to soften those edges on that. We'll just do Control H and hide that selection, go to hue saturation, colorize. Okay, and I think there's probably a little bit too much still there, so if I hit Q, that's going to give us a viewing of the quit mask. So all I'm going to do with that is now just mask that by hand a little bit better. So just going to go in, like so, just paint out that mask. job done. So as you can see, it just sharpens the edges up a little bit more. There we go, and then just hit Q again, and there's the selection, that's fine. Okay, and then we can go back to image adjust, hue saturation, colorize, and then you can adjust that to your heart's content, like so. And we don't want it too bright. Okay, like that, that's fine. And then, whoops, let's just undo that, we don't want a vector mask. And we'll just hit on the eye, and what we'll do is get a fairly large size blurred brush. Whoops, and that's just doing that on there. So now I want to do it on the outside. Of that. Okay, so that's on normal. Let's just drop that right to the top, that's better. And then we can grab sort of a lighter version of that. Okay, and then we'll do another one. Let's go back one, that's good. So that will work for our eye on this. So now what I want to do is start to add some ground. So if we go back down to our backdrop and we add a new layer, in fact no, we don't need to, just thinking about it. So what I'm going to do is open up this and start to drag these in. These are quite small, so I'm going to duplicate this up just a bit. These should be tiled. Okay. Okay, like so, and we'll do another one. So let's hide our robot for now. Okay. And we'll just move that along. I'm not too concerned about the join at the moment. I did actually think they were tiled, but they're not, so that's okay. That's all good. And we'll merge that down, and then we'll make our robot present again. The body, the wheel, the head, the eye, and that's that done. Okay, so what we need to do now is just pop this down here, and what we'll do, we'll distort this just so we get a kind of a half decent kind of look for our background. Okay, like so. Now I'm just going to pull it around. Okay. There are other ways you can do this. You could create a brush and just sort of do it as a matter of course with just various colours, things like that. So what I'm going to do now is do like an overlay. So there we go. It's probably a little bit harsh. So what we can do is have a play around with the colour. I think. Let's just have a look at the different blend modes that we have here. Darken, linear. So multiply is not too bad. So let's adjust the brightness and contrast. So again, this is just concept. It's just purely concept. So you don't really need to be overly fussy. Okay, and what you could do is just basically desaturate that if you wanted to, and then just sort of adjust your own color to it. And what we're going to do is start to duplicate that around. So let's just move that over here. And let's just zoom out. So I'm using an older version of Photoshop, so if you've got the new version you can probably use the warp tool to get everything working for you. So I'm just going to do that just there, that's fine, like so. And I'm going to grab a copy of this fella, just going to drop that on the back there as well, and we'll just blend it all together after. And with this one we'll just erase various aspects of it. Like so. I'm just going to merge those down. Whoops. And we're going to grab that and we're just going to push that to the back. And just put that there. And grab the eraser. I mean, you could use layer mask if you want. I'm not, like I said, not worried about it. And I'll just get rid of all that stuff going on there. Oops. Okay, and merge that down. And then what we can do is start to grab areas and just clone those back over, like so. Okay. And what we'll do, we'll just fill all that in at the back. Okay, like so. So that's straightforward, nice and easy, and that's done. So what I would do now is I'm going to start to adjust the background color and see what we can do just to bring that sort of redness out. That's better. And just keeping an eye on the shadow as well, and then we can adjust this one and we can grab that's much better. Okay, so and there we go. So the shadows are nice and cool, which is good. That works for us. And then I think what we can do actually, just for the backdrop there, is just give that a bit of brightness and contrast. Ooh, too much. Let's give it a bit more contrast. Don't want to lose that detail there. Okay, so let's do it with this one. Just a little bit of contrast there. There we go. So I think last but not least, I think just to finish this off, do some dust. So this thing's sort of kicking along quite nicely. So what we'll do, we'll sample the colour from this, and we'll go and find, let's see what brushes we've got. So we did have some cloud brushes. I think that's quite a good one. Just check that. Okay, that's not too bad. And we'll just go and check the colours on that one. There we go, it's not too bad at all. And I'm just going to jump back down and have a look. So some of these brushes are very strange, but for the most part they're pretty good. Let's just drop the opacity a bit more. In fact, Control A, get rid of that, and we'll do that again. And we'll just do a little bit behind him. We'll mask that off afterwards. And we'll just switch some colours, just darken that up, and we'll change the brush. Let's go with, let's have a look at that one. As well. No, I'm not too keen on that one. So let's just okay, and then for the eraser we'll go down here and we will grab, let's have a look at this one. There we go. And just come down again to there. And there we go. And just highlight that just a little bit more, just to give it a bit of depth. And a bit more over there, nothing drastic. Okay, and then what we can do is just play around. Let's just see what we can do with the blend modes as well. And we'll just drop the opacity, I think, just a tiny bit. Just a bit more about there. And then what we can do, hopefully it will work, we'll just add some noise to that layer as well. So if we just take out the mono, that'll be okay, and then we'll just see if we can pump that back up. So that's not bad at all. Okay, so I think we'll add one more thing to the markings, just call it decals on this one, and we'll go and grab more of a white colour. I'm just going to zoom in on here, and we'll go and get a fairly chiseled brush or a hard edge, and we'll just add some sort of markings on that. Okay, just to sort of set it off. I mean, you could go ahead and type your own in if you wanted. It's a bit of a weak brush actually, that. So let's Control D. Let's go and find us a decent brush. let's do that one. Okay, so just something like that, just to sort of finish it off, and just going to adjust the opacity there. And then we'll get our eraser and grab us another brush, and I'll just chisel it away ever so slightly. And there we go. Okay, so that's done. And then what I think we could do is if we just give it a bit of a selection just around on the background. See if this works. We should do. Let's do 15 on feather, and select feather again, feather again. Okay, Control Shift I, hide the selection, and all I'm going to do is go to Filter, Blur, and do a Gaussian blur just around that area. And cancel that. Control D. Let's just do the background and that foreground area, I think. Okay, so what I want to do is blur that. So if you do Control D, I'm just going to blur this copy completely, and then we'll do it as a mask. So that's not too bad. I'll switch this one on. What we want to do is so we can merge that down. That's okay. And then that one, we want to do another one, merge that one down. So that's fine. Just undo that. Let's get rid of that. And then just completely so just a little bit of tinkering with the masking, and let's just do selection again, feather that, Control H, and then blur. Don't want to do it too much, just enough to just set that off. Okay, like so. Control D, and then what we'll do with the clone tool is select an area and then gently just sort of put that focus back in. There we go. So that's done. So that should conclude our 3D model concept, using just paint and textures and stuff just to get an effect to put in front of a game's art director or even a film director. And hopefully what we've done here will help you on the way. And again, I'll emphasize, it's very, very basic shapes, high-res geometry just rendered out, no UVs, and yet we've got this like image that it's not the best image in the world, but the fact is it's an image that could be better than just a standard render without lots and lots of tinkering. So you can do lots of cheating and lots of adjusting in Photoshop. So I hope this helps you, and any questions once this is on the forums, please do give us a shout. So I'll say cheers for now.